Shiloh's very aggressive, very young, very hungry. He can make plays in the box, and we know he can run down and give us 100% on special teams. So this last week is going to be very important for those guys to show up.
I don't want y'all to think that I'm just going to sit here and say it's all peace, positivity, and rainbows. I'd love to say I have more positive news for our main man, Shilo Sanders. One of my favorite stories in all of the NFL, and obviously following from college football to the NFL, while Shador has the bigger limelight on him, and that's always a fun story. I think the less talked about Shilo Sanders gives a little more character, a little more adversity, a little more uphill climb, and it seems like that uphill climb is getting a little harder. But it's not over. I want to focus. I want to stress this. Now, people are saying that Shilo Sanders had a rough outing against the Steelers. We talked about a little bit, or talked about that a little bit in the preseason wrap up yesterday. And I told y'all we were going to make another video kind of speaking, what's it called? Speaking more in depth as to kind of what's going on. So today we're gonna talk a little bit about some reports from Pewter Report. We're also gonna hear from head coach Todd Bowles, but then I also want to update you because although seemingly had a rough day, a position seems to be open because another undrafted free agent sadly is injured and out for the season. So we're gonna see how everything faces off. First things first, let's see what Todd Bowles has to say.
Shiloh's very aggressive, very young, very hungry. He can make plays in the box, and we know he can run down and give us 100% on special teams. So this last week is going to be very important for those guys to show up.
So, and I think Todd Bowles has been very, just so you can hear what he sounded like after, the preseason performance. He's been very.
Shiloh played tough. I thought he went in and did a heck of a job. He had some good tackles inside. He had a pressure on the quarterback as well. He did some good coverage things. So he did a good job when he was in there.
So, I wouldn't say these are two drastically different things, right? But you can definitely see that there is a difference, right? It went from, hey, you did a great job to, hey, look, he's aggressive, he's young, he's hungry, right? He's able to spin some of the things that, and if I can be honest with you, it was missed tackles, it was bad angles, it was not being physical, it was leaving his feet, it was doing some things that, some of the negatives that we did see in Colorado are now starting to show up, so much so that people are starting to call him a practice squad guy. But I do want to stress the last week is important. It's not over. I want you to know, just in the same way, if Shilo Sanders puts another good day on tape with an injury in the safety room, and if we've been keeping up with this whole situation, Todd Bowles has been open about, I would say, not confusion, but almost the open-endedness at the safety position. He says, most recently, I think it was actually not most recently, but a few months ago, he was speaking about the safety position. He was like, hey, we have a lot of nickels out there, right? A lot of people I'm fine playing that nickel, but do I have a true safety opposite of Antoine Winfield Jr.? I can't say that right now. Now, J.J. Roberts was supposedly supposed to be the guy to fill in that role, right, and really be a guy. He's been showing a lot of good things, but he is on IR. He will be done for the rest of his season. So let's go into Pewter Report. Again, this is where I'm getting it from. This is where I've gotten a lot of the positive things I've said about Shilo have come from Pewter Report, right? They're a fan account that does, some reporting close to the team as well. So this is what they had to say. So, the Shilo Sanders make the roster with J.J. Roberts' season-ending injury. I hope I didn't say his name wrong. I might have said his name wrong the first time. But and it says, no, wow, Shilo Sanders still has some work to do in practice and in the final preseason game to make the 53-man roster. Tampa Bay star rookie defensive back J.J. Roberts is out for the year with an unfortunate knee injury. He suffered in the joint practice with Pittsburgh on Thursday. And while that helped Sanders' chance of making the team from a match standpoint, his game against Pittsburgh proved to be somewhat lackluster and uneventful. Sanders is essentially battling Kayvon Merriweather and Rashad Wisdom for the fourth and final spot on the roster behind starters Antoine Winfield Jr. and Tyke Smith. In addition to top reserve Christian Eisen, Merriweather is entering his third season in Tampa Bay. Entering his third season in Tampa Bay and has a veteran experience playing in Todd Bowles' defense, while Wisdom was on the Bucs practice squad all last year and is far more versatile. Okay, so from a production standpoint, Sanders was in on a few tackles, but Merriweather was tied for the team lead with 4 stops and played well. Wisdom had a pair of stops and a pass breakup, playing both safety and nickelback in Pittsburgh, while Sanders missed a tackle and didn't make any splash plays. So, and there's, I think, a little more. I think this is the end of it. So there's a little more to it, and we're gonna get into the 53 man. I do want to speak about just that right there, because not only is it important, to maximize your opportunity, but I think it's so stark when you talk about the opportunity he was last week, right? And last week there was so much upside that was being shown, right, and not as much disadvantage. Even though we do have a video of a guy saying that Shilo should have been cut based off last week's tape. We are going to get to it. It did seem like there was a lot more, again, upside, right? Even if there is negative, the rush was nice. You had some, you were in there on some plays. You brought your hard hitting ability to the league, but at what end does that show up? And it saddens me that just in week 2 you start seeing that, especially with a loss and injury, and ideally you get more opportunity. It does not mean that it's over. It does not mean that he can't find his way. It does not mean that he didn't have a bad day or a bad week, right? And who's to say if you got 2 great weeks in 1 bad week, it's going to be hard for them to not keep him on the team. But I do want to point out, though, something out. We talk about NFL and not being NFL. Everybody's saying that he's a practice squad guy. No one's saying that they should cut him. I know that we're just trying to get consolation prizes at this point, but nobody's saying they should cut him. They just calling him a practice squad guy. Let's get back into this. All right. So as just like we were talking about, Sanders looks like a practice squad safety right now and really needs to show up with a big play or 2 against Buffalo in the preseason finale in order to make his case for inclusion in the 53-man roster. This is how my projected depth chart, this is, Pewter Report's projected depth chart in the Bucs secondary shakes out right now. So you have Zion McClellan, Jamal Dean, Jacob Parrish, Kendall Vildor, and then the rookie Benjamin Morrison, obviously Anton Winfield Jr., Tyke Smith, Christian Eason, Kayvon Merriweather. That's 9 defensive backs. Tampa Bay will likely keep at least 10 and probably another cornerback, either injured veteran Bryce Hall, rookie newcomer Javion Farr, who played well in the Bucs debut, or rookie Roman Parodi, who missed Saturday night's game with an injury but had a pick 6 versus the Titans last week. The Bucs have a pair of oft-injured cornerbacks in Jamal Dean and Benjamin Morrison, who has been out for 2 weeks with a hamstring injury, so they'll need to shore up some depth at cornerback. The guess here is that Wisdom or Farr might make the team. Farr can play both outside cornerback and nickelback, which is where he played a bunch in Pittsburgh, and Wisdom can play both safety spots as well as nickelback in a pinch. Roberts was the backup nickelback and is out for the year, while Christian Eisen, I hope I'm saying that right, suffered an oblique injury versus Pittsburgh in the first half and did not return. Tampa Bay could use another versatile defender, and Sanders is only a safety. That lack of versatility and a lack of splash plays will hinder his chances of making the team and likely land him on the practice squad. I know they played a lot, and I'm not finished going through the tape. Bo said Merriweather probably has got the most experience. He was here last year, and he played the last half of the season. He knows both safety positions. Wisdom, being on the practice squad last year, he actually played nickel in the second half because we were down all corners. He did a heck of a job playing nickel, strong safety, and free safety from a knowledge standpoint. Shiloh is very aggressive, young, hungry. He can make plays in the box, and we know he can run down and give us 100% on special teams. So this last week is going to be very important for those guys to show up. And that's something that I probably kind of left out. Special teams, he really is probably going to be where Shilo cuts his teeth at, or, I forgot how's that expression goes. I probably said it wrong, but I think that's where he's going to be able to hopefully get some sort of leeway and really, making big splash plays on special teams. Now, I don't think a lot of people coin him as being able to make the team based on special teams, but I'll tell you what, if he, put together a good safety rendition and then shows, hey, I don't have versatility maybe playing cornerback, but I have versatility in special teams. I can be on the return team, I can be on the kickoff team, I can be on punt return team. If he can show that he can make an impact, and that's important, make an impact on special teams, because special teams is one of the most forgotten about positions, right? If you do your job right, you should be most forgotten, right? If you do your job well, you could be the turning point in the game. A muffed punt, a great hit, whatever, a grounding a punt. Like, there are a lot of different ways. Luckily for Shilo, hope I didn't say Shador. Man, these S's, boy, for him to show up, not just, like you said, he's limited because he can't really play corner. We've seen him, I wouldn't really trust him playing inside. I wouldn't trust him playing as a true corner, but safety, he's shown that he can play. In the box, he showed he can play. So if you can show versatility just on 2 different, sides of the ball, maybe that's the other edge with some really good plays. That's me wishful thinking, but here is here's what it looked like. And I do want to add, this is the 4th. So, The fourth is when the third, fourth, and the not gonna make it are on the team. So here comes Shilo. Now a big thing again this game that he was dinged for was having bad paths to the football and obviously missing tackles. So let's see what he sees here. So he's going to start rotating down. They're going to rotate into this. I guess they're either doing a cover 3 look or, okay, it looks like he was actually coming on a blitz. So they're sending the backer. They're sending, it looked like either Shilo or he was dropping here to replace that backer coming to play man. Regardless, whatever it is, he sees that it's a run play back here and then starts going to the ball. Tries to get pretty flat. I'm not mad at him getting flat. Where I'm mad is him continuing not to come down this line. Shilo needs to come down just straight down this line and cut this back inside. Instead, what he does is he kind of starts cutting in here on this angle, and it sets him up to the point where, sadly, his teammate, right? Because again, if he's coming straight down, if he's coming straight down right here, he meets him right here when he gets here, right? You feel what I'm saying? Instead of kind of bending it, how he bended it, right? If he keeps it straight, well, I guess above this line, I should say, keeps it straight above the line instead of trying to come over the line, that one little step made him be like, oh, and then he slows down, leaves his feet because he gets hit, and then, so this Bucs player takes out Shilo because he did whatever, bad angle. Then Shilo doesn't even hold on to the ball. He's just holding on for dear life. Shilo then ends up taking out one of his teammates. In a dangerous way, too. So I do want to point out, I'm a Shilo guy. Okay? I don't want y'all to think that I'm just going to sit here and say it's all peace, positivity, and rainbows. This isn't a good rep for many reasons. There's a lot of reasons, right? So let's read through it. J.J. Russell might be out for the season. This sucks. Hate to see that, but I hope he gets better soon. Might be a golden opportunity for Shilo Sanders to skyrocket to the roster. Obviously, with the strong outing, he did not have a strong outing. And again, this is what they were saying. Defensive back Shilo Sanders is having a rough night. 2 big missed tackles and hasn't been tackling well. Shilo is having a rough go early on in this one. Off a route to the ball carrier. Needs to wake up quick if he wants to even be on the practice squad. Bad missed tackle by Shilo Sanders. Vildor there to clean it up. So tough situation. And let's get into that TikTok again. I think this dude made some interesting points about Shilo Sanders.
To be honest, Shilo Sanders making the Buccaneers was always going to be a long shot, but if he doesn't pick things up in week 2 versus the Steelers, he may end up on the practice squad. Coming out of college, Shilo's biggest strength and weakness was his tendency to try to always go for the big hit, making him miss tackles. On this play, the Titans dump off a screen pass to the running back, and Shilo starts to take a bad angle to the ball. He runs full speed without tracking the hit by the running back. He doesn't break down, just ends up whiffing on the tackle for a big gain. When you play the safety position, you have to be a dependable last line defense and make the tough open field tackles all the time. Now, I want you to pay attention to this screenplay and look how Shilo's getting bounced out the club. It's a small thing, but DB coaches have an unwritten rule that you can't have a receiver's hands on you by the time the whistle blows. It sounds crazy, but when you're already an undrafted free agent, these intangibles like being physical 24/7 are make or break you.
I'm not gonna go on too long because
a long shot to make the roster, you have to be able to stand out on special teams.
Okay, well,
me personally, I thought this was going to be a trait that Shilo can hang his hat on. And on this kickoff, he does a good job getting off the block and he gets in position, but he fails again to get the guy down. When you keep missing these chances to make plays.
So again, not the positive, most highest regards for Shilo Sanders. I hope he can find a way to make something happen. I hope he can find a way to turn things around and continue to build on good days. But as it stands right now, Shilo Sanders is in a tough spot in a real uphill battle to make this squad. Some people say he's in a tough spot to even make the practice squad. Y'all let me know how y'all feel down below. We know Tampa Bay loves Shilo. We know that the community has embraced him. He's been signing autographs. He's been out there in the community, but the football's going to have to match it, right? And it's going to have to come in a big way here in this last week. So let's all hope for the best for Shilo. Comment down below how you feel about the situation. Do you think he's a practice squad guy? He's going to make the team, or an NFL guy? Like the video if you like it, dislike if you don't. Subscribe if you like football content of all shapes, sizes, forms, and fashion. Continue to be phenomenal and great. If you watched this far, you're the best in the business. Just hope your day's awesome, man. You have a great one. Peace.